The Walt Disney Company refused to lift the review embargo for Moana 2 until 2 hours before it began to debut in North America. Now, having seen the review scores, we can understand why. But did it work, and was Disney able to hide just how bad this rushed job for Moana 2 is? Will it help them financially at the box office? We'll explain the fallout right now. Well, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. It is a great and dandy day every time we have the opportunity to say, welcome back to the Pro Channel. We're happy to have you. Explaining entertainment, keeping you ahead of the culture curve. It's our job. Your job is kick back, relax, and learn from us as best we can possibly teach you. And we ask that you click the like button. No tuition is required. You are all on scholarship. Folks, we're talking about Moana. We're talking about what Disney has done that has a lot of people saying, boy, they ought to have spent a lot more time on this thing and not put it out just yet. We'll talk about it. You'll see how we reacted as we found out the reviews were not going to be good. Here we go. That'll work well. Folks, we've got the stuff. Moana 2 in the last little bit has had its embargo lift. Let's refresh just to see if we are still at 71%. We're not. We're dropping. So the preloaded reviews were clearly better because it's been dropping from 75 to 69. We're almost into rotten territory for Moana 2. Remember that Moana is the most important princess franchise that Disney owns. So, and I don't say that without substance. Moana, the original movie, was the most streamed movie of 2023. It had no reason to do that. It came out in 2016, so it has years for it to dwindle in popularity for the new stuff. It had no promotion from Disney in order to do that. It just did it organically. And that means that psychologically, kids and families are drawn to Moana more than anything else. And that's no shock because the colors, the vibrancy, the blues, all of that draws in people. People love beauty. And it's the advantage it has is versus Frozen. Frozen is sort of this white, blank theme. And so for a 2-year-old, which one do you want to watch? Do you want to watch the snow-covered sort of abstract colors, or do you want to see the lush islands of Moana? Okay, well then you top that off with the fact that Moana is the proper feminine hero archetype. So Moana attempts to go on a masculine hero's journey, and that fails. That's the whole message of the movie, is that she, and I don't even know that the writers know that they did this, but the reason it works psychologically is because Moana goes on a masculine hero's journey, and it doesn't work. That's why she's defeated by Te Fiti in the 3/4 of the way through part of the movie. Well, she reconstitutes herself, and she realizes that the way to overcome the enemy for her is not the masculine adventure of conquest, but rather empathy. And empathy is the proper female hero archetype. And Moana wins because Moana puts things in the world back into their proper place through her appropriate feminine empathy, which is the predecessor to the maternal instinct. And by doing so, she returns the heart, and the heart is the symbolism of empathy, by the way. She returns the heart to Te Fiti, who then the empathy of Te Fiti overflows throughout the nations. That is the symbolism, the deep psychological symbolism of Moana. The idea that the people who made it have any idea they did that, I don't even know. But that's why it worked. Well, Bob Iger, in all his infinite wisdom, said, you know what? Let's take this brand that out of the blue is just blows away everything else in terms of viewership. Let's take that and let's make a TV show out of it. Oh, wait, we're in a hurry now, and we don't have a great movie for Thanksgiving. So you know that TV show that we're making? Okay, turn that into a movie now with a studio that's never made a film before, and we don't have Lin-Manuel Miranda. Oh, we don't have the people who originally made Moana. We don't need that. Get some replacements. Throw it together and let's put it out there. And if it fails, so what? We've got a live action remake of the original coming out later too. So it'll be okay. And that's what they've done. It is akin to, it's similar to taking the biggest, baddest, best franchise you have, the most important asset you have, and saying, you know what? We don't care how this will affect our brand. We just need a Band-Aid. And when you use your most important asset as a Band-Aid, you destroy your most valuable asset. And that's what we're seeing happen right now. We're going to get to the review of this in just a moment. It's back up to 70% with 50 reviews in. And again, they held this film embargo until 2 hours before the film releases. All right, here is one of the first reviews we want to take a look at. It's out of the Hollywood Reporter. It is by Lovia Giarki. Moana 2 review. And by the way, Jonas sent this to me, and I think he sent it to me only based on who would have the most difficult name for Pro to say live. Moana 2 review. Auli'i Cravalho, got that one, and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in a visually dazzling but narratively uninspiring sequel. Disney Animation's follow-up to its 2016 hit sees its wayfinding heroine assembling a ragtag crew for a dangerous quest to find a lost island in order to save her own community. Here's what it says. 8 years ago, Moana, the strong-willed Polynesian wayfinder, don't call her a princess. Yes, she is a princess. Oh, please tell me they don't do that. Jonas, do you know about this? Is that a reference in the movie where she says don't call her a princess? Is that going to be in this movie? Please tell me it's not.
Is it? Didn't they do that in the last one as well? I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do.
Remember. Please,
they have to have some light level of feminism in there, at least. They have to signal that they haven't completely lost their minds.
I hope not. That's like when you call somebody an actress and they say, don't call me an actress, I'm an actor. And it's like, whatever. You're made a splash with her eponymous Disney debut. Her unique oceanic adventure with the demigod Maui earned over $665 million worldwide for the studio and snagged an Oscar nomination for Best Animated Movie. The 665, by the way, folks, this was a brand new IP. Moana did not win at the box office the way that Moana won over time, becoming the most popular movie in the world for streaming, which means it was the most popular movie in the world. But it was the heroine's charm and stubborn determination to save her people from ecological disaster that gave Moana its most enduring qualities. By the way, her determination was not to save her people from ecological disaster. That makes it sound like she was attempting to stop climate change. That was a spiritual evil that was promulgating across the land, destroying the fortunes of her family and her community because of a lack of empathy in the world. And that was brought about by Maui. As with all commercially viable Disney properties, Moana was fated for franchise. 4 years after the original success, Disney announced plans for an animated television series. Then they scrapped that idea in favor of a more traditional cinematic sequel and dropped news of a forthcoming live-action remake. But Moana 2, directed by Jason Hand, Dana LeDoux Miller, LeDux maybe? I don't know. David G. Derrick Jr. from a screenplay by Jared Bush and Mr. Miller again, or Miss Miller. Sorry, Miss Miller.
Miss Miller. Which that's actually a big deal that it's Jared Bush and LeDoux Miller. So we'll talk about that in a second.
I actually knew, and I want to hand that to you to explain it in just a moment. Might have worked better as a longer series. While the highly anticipated follow-up features stunning animation, it lacks the cohesive narrative and emotional intimacy that made its predecessor special. Cravalho and Johnson assuredly reprised their roles as the voices of Moana and Maui, whose latest mission takes them through uncharted parts of Oceania. Their sea adventures are heightened by vivid style and striking visual effects. In breathtaking sequences, Moana, Maui, and a new ragtag crew that includes the spacey chicken Hey Hey encounter imposing waves and mysterious creatures that remind viewers why 95% of the ocean remains unexplored. The scaled action showcases Disney's animation prowess. It goes on to say that the story, though, sucks. All right, Jonas, walk us through the convoluted way this movie came together, including the fact that when it comes to who directed it, we still, and articles still don't understand who directed it. Who actually made this movie, Jonas?
Everyone in the entire world made this film. So basically, this started out as a Disney Plus TV series, which those are if we look at what they've released on Disney Plus, things like Baymax, where they've injected a lot of ideology into things that are intended for like that show's graded for 5-year-olds over there. They took this and said, you know what? We can't have this massive expense on the books for this Moana series. Also, Moana is the biggest thing on Disney Plus right now. We've got a huge gap in our schedule. And if you follow the rumors over on Film Threat, they canceled a movie about an Iranian princess that was going to be releasing here in the next few weeks. They said, let's make Moana the TV series into Moana 2. So we got about 6 months to get this thing together. So then they hurriedly had to sign Auli'i Cravalho and The Rock for movie contracts, because I'm assuming they originally had TV contracts. They didn't have all that together, so they rush. They don't have Lin-Manuel Miranda, but they do have Opeta'i Fa'oi and people like that. In the middle of all of this, they have said that Dave G. Derrick was going to be the director of this movie. I don't remember who the original screenwriter was, but it wasn't Dana Ledoux Miller, and I'm pretty sure it wasn't Jared Bush.
Jonas, did this get DEI'd where they had somebody who was not the right ethnicity, gender, whatever?
No,
leading the way.
Actually, they had the reverse. Dave G. Derrick is of the right skin tone according to the DEI people. But they have Jason Hand, who is at the Burbank studio, which didn't have anything to do with this when they announced it. They suddenly said, by the way, this television series was going to be made in Vancouver, a studio that had never made a film at any point. And it's staffed up to, I forget if it's 200 or 400. But there's the shocker there for the Burbank studio to find out that there is another Disney animation out there. So Jason Hand is the head of story for the Burbank studio. He gets brought in as a director, and also Dana Ledoux Miller, who also has Islander heritage at this point. But she was the screenwriter from Moana, the live action film, and all of a sudden she's listed as the director of one of the three directors of Moana 2. What's especially interesting about that is because I found a podcast which had less than 10 views on it, where she commented on the fact that Disney was working on a Moana project that she wanted nothing to do with while she was working on Moana 2. And she said, you know what, I'd like to direct in the coming year. And then all of a sudden, a few days later, the screenwriter for Moana 2 gets listed as the director of Moana live action gets listed as the director of Moana 2. And lo and behold, she is now listed as the screenwriter. One more layer to add on to this. In the middle of them announcing Frozen 3 and 4 being back-to-back movies over there for Disney Animation, all of a sudden, Jennifer Lee gets demoted as the head of Walt Disney Animation, and she's only going to be the director of Frozen 3, and Jared Bush, who worked on previous Disney films. I want to say Frozen. He's definitely worked on Zootopia. He is promoted to head of Disney Animation, and now he is apparently the screenwriter of this, the primary screenwriter here.
That Jennifer Lee demotion is a nicer way of saying fired.
Yes,
I want to show you this because this is just brutal. Some of these reviews you're getting, and we all know this, right? We all know from Disney that reviewers will often be just as kind as they possibly have to be in order to get a fresh rating. But some of these are brutal. And that's when you start seeing the brutality in some of these, that's when you know what the critics really are thinking. Allison Wilmore out of New York magazine Vulture says, a real movie would give its protagonist something to continue to wrestle with as she learns and grows. But Moana 2 isn't a real movie. That is brutal. I mean, that is just absolutely brutal. We'll load some more here. And you can see that Rotten Tomatoes also seems to have most of the rotten stuff down at the bottom. Shocking, I know. Soren Anderson from Seattle Times says, you've got a movie that really tries hard to not just be liked by the audience, but loved. Tries too hard. Truth be told, the effort is evident. Moana, this is Evan Dossie out of Midwest Film Journal, says Moana 2 is a by-the-number sequel that feels like someone trying to cram 10 hours into 2. Wonder how that happened. I had low expectations. To be honest, I was still a little disappointed. And I'll show you this. So even the positive ones, and that's how you know we've got a real problem. Notice this. It's reviewed as fresh. Everybody knows how this game is played, right? It's reviewed as fresh by Screen Rant with a 6 out of 10. Now, a 6 out of 10 in college is a D minus, right? It is literally the lowest score you can get and still pass. So Screen Rant gives a 6 out of 10. May Abdulbaki says, the animation is still strong and the character beats are affecting, but the villain and his motivations stand in the film's way of true greatness. By the way, I think that's a spoiler right there in the review. So listen, this is what's here is not positive, unless you're Richard Roper, who says Moana 2 is a sparkling family adventure. Well, all right then. Panel, your thoughts on the idea that they took a TV show and turned it into a movie in 6 months, and now their biggest princess brand is in trouble?
I, for one, am shocked that such tactics have led to abject critical failure. Who could have possibly seen that coming? Who could have possibly been on live streams for the last several months saying this is a bad idea and it's going to be very, very bad? Clearly nobody here with a beard who's right above me right now, pointing around at everybody on the screen. No, but it was very clearly an oh crap moment where they had to all of a sudden be like, reshuffle everything because they had to cancel that princess movie that we really know not much about, and they're reaping what they sow. They rushed this to try to bank on a quick payday, and in doing so, they're going to cut off their nose to spite their face because they have tanked now their most successful princess franchise. And one other thing to think about is what kind of legs is this going to have? Because I'll tell you right now, after what I saw this past weekend in theaters, Wicked is going to have legs.
Well, that happened to Ariel as well.
This is true.
Except that Ariel doesn't have legs, but anyways, I will make the chauvinistic comment about who's got better legs.
Guys,
ask yourself.
They've lost IGN, Derek. IGN says Moana 2 review, not so shiny. When you've lost IGN, when IGN can't give you a 7 out of 10. Go ahead, Derek.
No, I'm just ask yourself what is the genesis of any project? It has to start from something, a spark of creativity, right? And it seems like Disney lately, for the longest time, actually has not been making films with the creativity in mind. They're making it for either ideological purposes or just trying to cash in on an IP, which is basically what Moana is. They're trying to cash in. Oh, let's take a television show, let's turn it into a film, and let's speed run it. Okay, let's hurry up and get to November so that we can drop this in theaters and make some money off of it. Because like you said, Pro, it's their most successful film on streaming. This is the problem. They don't have creators over there any longer. All right. They have content, just churning out content, and there's nothing behind it. And you have to have some spark of creativity behind the project that you're making in the first place. If it's a television show, look, somebody said in the reviews, it's like it feels like 10 hours crammed into 2. So that means that they're skipping very important character development beats, storytelling beats. They don't have storytellers over there any longer. They're just creating things for IP purposes, for cash purposes, cold hard cash. That's what Disney wants, and it's sad because this company somebody asked me in the comments, yeah, who is your favorite, what's your favorite Disney movie? And I had to think about that for a minute. It's like, man, there's so many great Disney movies that have come out over the years. But lately, what we've just been getting, I don't think anybody would consider some of these films that we've been getting from Disney as their favorite Disney movie. And I mean, I had to really think about that. And I was like, I landed on Aladdin finally. But I mean, there are so many good movies out there from Disney. They need to get those storytellers back into the studio, because that's the reason why this is going to fail. And it feels heartless, it feels soulless, it just feels like nothing lately what we've been getting from Disney. So I'm not expecting anything different with Moana 2. I think that's the nature of what Disney is now.
You said something really important there, Derek, and I think that this is another existential threat moment for the Walt Disney Company at this point. The willingness to have an outside studio, closest thing to an outside studio that they have here, a studio that they own that is not in the United States. So essentially a different studio here with what sounds like quality people. I think this is all hands on deck. And if they hadn't failed so spectacularly with Wish, both in the box office and in the quality of that film, I don't think that they would be back here in this way. Pro, you asked me to bring up the Film Threat live review or reaction.
Yes, we want people to go check out Film Threat with Alan Ng and Chris Gore. Before the embargo lifted, they did a quick reaction where they could not do a full review. But I was watching that Park Place this morning as you guys were doing the morning magic show. And I loved that you guys played the clip, and I just thought we should play it here. And then I'd like to get Culture and Ron to weigh in on what they're hearing from. I think Chris and Alan are just about the most honest individuals with the best reflection of how the audience is going to feel. They're the best in the industry. So if you wouldn't mind, Jonas, bring them up and we'll play what they said after having watched Moana 2 yesterday.
Yep. There's another reaction I was wanting to throw in here real quick, but I'll go straight.
No, either way, go for it.
You know which one I'm talking about? This one. It's just this little girl. It's one of the guys who is listed on that Rotten Tomatoes page. His name is Sean Chandler. He brought his little girl to see Moana 2, and this was her reaction
Chloe, what you think about Moana 2?
It was a good movie. It wasn't the best because it kept on skipping over parts. Oh, how does she know that? Or, oh, I thought that guy was bad. Like, the storyline is good, but how they, like, decided to do it was I don't know.
So while we're talking, we're mildly distracted.
I just think that the little kid out there calling them out for plot inconsistencies, that's Disney missing the mark there. They need to be storytellers who know how to hold somebody's hand. We don't need some 40-year-old coming out here and saying, well, if the kids paid better attention to the film, they would have recognized that one line that made it all make sense.
Kids are the first people that are going to point out plot inconsistencies. Remember in the 90s, they all thought we were dumb, and they all thought that they could just throw, like, the plots didn't matter in these TV shows they were putting out that were essentially made to sell toys. And meanwhile, conversations in schools, the only thing you ever heard was about, like, oh, they really screwed up the continuity on Power Rangers this week.
Yep.
And I'll say this as we get ready to play the film threat. Hold on just a second, Jonas. As we get ready to play what Chris Gore and Alan Ng had to say, I just want to remind people, we've got the link in the video description for Film Threat. If you're not yet subscribed to them, please do so. We always want to send people to our friends and support them, and they do wonderful work. Go ahead, Jonas.
Yep.
We just got out of the El Capitan Theater and saw Moana 2. This is our out of the theater reaction, social reaction. We will talk in more detail on Wednesday's show. But Alan, what'd you think of Moana 2?
Wow. So Disney is back with animation. Light years better than Wish. Beautiful, great scene composition, fantastic animation, motion. Oh, I love the animation.
Okay, I just want to point out that Byron Howard, who is one of the fixers from the Disney Story Trust, according to some of the reviews that I've read, he was the actual head of animation for this film at this point. So that's a good sign. But there's another shoe to drop.
Another shoe.
Besides that,
everything else sucks.
Yes, it's very much like a show for little kids. It's very much for
Lots
little
of eye
kids.
candy for little kids.
Yeah, it's very much, if you are a single-digit age child or have one, and I don't mean own one here, actually have a kid, that they're going to like this movie. Other than that, if you're 1 to 9 years old, it's for you. Parents will be bored. I was bored, and none of the songs were memorable. The most memorable song was from the first movie.
Yes.
Yes.
I'll say this, though. If you're afraid of water, this movie is perfect because everything is shallow. The story, the songs, it's all shallow.
All right,
fear
good, Jonas.
of going.
All right, we want to thank Chris and Alan for giving that quick reaction. All right, so I want to ask. I suppose we'll go to our panelists who have not yet had a chance to chime in. It seems to me this opens the door for Wicked because Moana is forfeiting the opportunity to be a female anthem movie. If it's only going to appeal to kids under 10, then it cannot, I think, pull in after the first week. It cannot pull in, women who want to really go and see their hero shine. I think they're going to go to Wicked instead. Panel, what say you?
Yeah, it's the thing about this movie is, I was showing this on my show this morning. It's projected to make $225 million over the quote unquote Thanksgiving weekend. I don't think it's going to do
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Excuse me, 6 day. So that's
right,
a 6 day weekend, folks. At which point you just have to say, I don't know what a weekend is anymore. But yes,
exactly. And I loved Culture's video this morning about that very subject. Thank you, Culture, for that. But first of all, I don't know what happens if it only pulls half that and then it drops 70%. Based on these reviews, after this weekend, this is going to drop off the radar and Wicked will come back up. There's not much until Sonic 3 for families. I have no desire to see this at a movie theater with my family. Anybody that's making conscious budgetary decisions about what they're going to see and when. I love the idea that he said the animation is back because the Wish was so flat as far as the actual eye-catching animation. It just wasn't there. So I'm excited for that. But if the story is not there, you know, you look at little kids that were 4 back when Moana came out and are 12 now and are not going to be excited about this. It's just not going to stick around very long. And this could be one of those things, well, let's throw it on Disney Plus for Christmas Day, which is not a very long runtime at the movie theater.
And folks, we have come to the end yet again. Another video of excellence in the can. What a joy it has been to share time with you. We hope you enjoyed it as well. If so, consider clicking that like button. Share, subscribe, click it, stick it to the algorithms. It is the notification bell. And as always, drop a comment down below. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, so waste not yours. Join a community dialogue today, just on down below. Folks, we are going to say farewell for now, but we will see you back. 4 is more, and that's how many videos we put out every single day here on the Pro Channel. Hope you enjoy them all. Until the next time, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.